Good evening, everybody. Welcome to NCOPD Live. This is Matt Sergeant Green coming here live from JBLM, Washington. And today I get to interview the professional SGL on NCOPD Live. Professional SGL, how are you doing?
Look, man, I'm doing good, but the fact of this is tripping me out. The first time I've ever given NCOPD live over to somebody else, but for the most part, I'm doing good, man. I guess I'm glad to be here on my own show, right? I don't even know how to answer that question.
Well, hey, I told you ain't no fun when the rabbit get the gun. But okay, yeah. So I'm told that on NCOPD Live that you have a famous game called what is it? Fast 60?
Quick and
is that
60?
What it's called? Huh? Quick and 60? Quick and 60. Quick and 60. Okay. So
yeah,
at the request of your followers, I am going to go ahead and hit you with your own quick and 60. Oh, I think you normally start a clock, don't you? Because we want the people to see the truth. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the timer up right quick so they can see it, that this wasn't a ruse, that you actually knocked it out in 60 seconds. All right.
Wow.
So now that we got that taken care of, are you ready, professional SGL?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
All right, here we go. I'm starting the clock. Okay, what is your favorite color?
Red.
Okay, what was your favorite duty station?
Fort Hood.
What is your dream car?
I really don't have one.
Okay, Apple or Android?
Apple.
Favorite food?
Pot roast.
Okay, apple pie, sweet potato pie, or cheesecake?
Cheesecake.
All right, beef or chicken?
Beef.
Favorite book?
Walden.
Favorite football team?
Houston Texans.
Okay. Favorite college team?
Texas Longhorns.
Okay. Favorite movie? Uh-oh.
Oh man. Oh man. Lion King.
Uh-oh. Okay, favorite actor. Next question.
Denzel Washington.
You nailed it.
Did I get it?
I stopped it a little late, but you nailed it.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about. That's a little harder than I thought. Like, to all those guests that have ever came on, listen, my bad.
Okay, all right. So today is NCOPD Live's birthday, right? 6 years.
Yes.
6 years, and it's a double whammy because it is also the Army's birthday.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's very significant that the Army's birthday and NCOPD Live correspond with each other. Okay. Yeah. So with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and hit you with these questions here, my brother.
Okay.
All right. These are some good questions. Now, I want everybody to understand something. Staff Sergeant X is different. All right. And what I mean by different is he leads without appointed authority. All right. And that's where the line of questioning is going to start today. All right. So, the very first question that I would like to ask the professional SGL is this. What was your motivation to lead without appointed authority? And I'm talking about like starting up NCOPD Live and all of that stuff. But what was your motivation to do
that? So to be honest, NCOPD Live started just by something I saw in the shopette, and I came home and I got on live and talked about it, and eventually it grew to what you see today. So over the time it has evolved, but what really gave me the insight and the vision to do this is because we don't get NCOPD Live in units no more. And like I said, this is not to bash any other unit, but we don't get NCOPD like we normally should, or like we did back in the day. So I came up with this concept that I wanted to do something to give back to those individuals that are coming behind me that's going to soon replace me. And one of the driving motivational forces that made me do this is that I wanted to leave a legacy that if my children or my grandchild decided
there she
to,
go.
my grandchild decides to join the army, that someone would take care of them as I took care of them. So I didn't look for somebody to tell me to start something. I had a dream, I had a vision, and I took it and I ran with it. Because oftentimes if I sit and I wait on somebody to give me permission to do something, I kind of feel like it doesn't exercise that part where we say I would take that initiative, and we talk about in the creed. So sometimes you just got to jump out there and just run with it. So I would take that initiative in the absence of order. So I didn't look for appointed approval, appointed authority. I just saw something, I had an idea, and I ran with it.
What advice would you give young and upcoming individuals when it comes to leading without appointed authority? Because like you said, I think a lot of times leaders wait until they get that appointed order. I think the way I heard it explained to me was it's like children in kindergarten, and they have a line leader, and the children just wait in the line until it's their turn to eat. And by doing that, we miss out on a lot of opportunities to lead, because there's always opportunities to lead. So what advice would you give to young and upcoming leaders to get out there and exercise their ability to lead before they receive that appointed authority?
First and foremost, understand your scope, your area of influence. That's number one. Once you understand your area of influence, then you have to operate within that domain. And I know people are probably saying like, "Oh, this guy using." I'm using words that we're using in the Army now. So if you didn't know it, it's time to catch up. You operate, know what your scope is, know what your. For instance, I use it as being on a range. You're in lane 1. Every target in lane 1 is your responsibility to hit it. It's your responsibility to hit it. But when you understand the scope that you're in and your left and right limits, the amount of influence is solely based upon the person. So my advice to anybody that's up and coming and want to operate without appointed authority, understand your scope first. Understand your area of influence. And then when you understand that and you know your left and right limits, then the magnitude of influence that you have will be based on who you are. So that goes back to a lot of character traits that you may have to demonstrate, and your audio need to match your visual. I'm not saying you're going to be perfect, because the professional SGL, trust me, I'm not perfect. But understanding your area, your scope, and your area influence, and your left and right limits, the sky's the limits to anybody.
All right, you just you hit on something that I want to talk about. So as everybody know, the professional SGL is a staff sergeant.
Mm-hmm.
What do you feel about, when you hear somebody say, "Well, I'm just a sergeant. I can't X because I'm just a sergeant." How do you feel about that? Like, what is your response to that when you hear those type of things?
You can only do what you believe that you can do. I'm gonna say that again. You can only do.
I think people need to hear it.
You can only do what you believe that you can do. So when it comes to people that say, "Well, I'm just a sergeant," or "I'm just a staff sergeant," I'm just a sergeant first class," or whatever it may be, I don't see it like that coming from Staff Sergeant Hicks's point of view. So just kind of let you all in the mind of Staff Sergeant Hicks or the professional SGL. This is gonna sound cliche, but I'm serious when I say this. I can do anything I put my mind to if it's in my spectrum or my scope of influence, my area of influence. and nobody can stop me from doing what I put my mind to. If I want to build a platform that reaches the masses as a staff sergeant, I can do it. If I want to go out here and achieve a 40 out of 40 on the range, guess what? I can do it. But here's the flip part to that. It's going to be some work, some blood, sweat, and tears. It's not just going to be handed to you. NCOPD Live didn't just come, somebody just handed me a platform. I saw something, I put in time, the grind, the journey, all of that goes behind it. And nowadays, most people just want stuff. We just want it handed to us. That's not the way life is intended. And I'll tell you this. Normally, sometimes when somebody gives you something free, they may not say it then, but they're gonna come back behind the scenes later on down the line and say, hey, remember I did this for you. So you can't. I guess what I'm really trying to say is your rank is a title. That's it. Your rank is nothing more than a title. Do not let nobody tell you what you cannot do. And then sometimes our biggest critics are ourselves. Because we say, well, I'm just a sergeant. I can't go over there and correct that captain. Why you can't? That captain is bound by the same Army regulatory guidance that you are bound by. Now, here goes that part that we need to know about. The sergeant or the specialist can correct the captain, but there's a tactful way in doing it. Excuse me, sir. Are you aware of the Army's policy in regards with walking and talking on a cellular or Bluetooth device? Now, at that time, they're going to tell you, kick rock, sergeant, or beat rock, specialist. Roger, sir. You render the salute, give the proper greeting of the day, execute an about face, and you move out. But you don't stop there. You go to your higher chain of leadership. Hey, sergeant. Hey, first sergeant. I saw a captain walking and talking on the cell phone. I asked him or her, did they know, blah, 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 blah. They told me to kick rocks. Because think about it. Once again, I said earlier, you only can operate within your spectrum, your scope. That is within your scope. But when you run up against things like that, don't just say, I can't go correct that individual because I'm a sergeant. At the end of the day, you are enforcer of standards. And if somebody is outside of the standards, then it's our job to enforce them to make sure that we're doing the right thing. So I disagree with that I'm just a staff sergeant, because tell you now, I don't let people tell Staff Sergeant Hicks there ain't too many things he could do.
Okay. I like it. So now I know we got some listeners and watchers out there that's probably saying, that's easier said than done. So where do you believe the drive that you have to go out and be able to accomplish these things, where do you believe that came from? Like how did that attitude get cultivated in your life? Like, where do you believe that came from?
So true story. True story. For everybody that knows me in that close circle of mine, they know when I say my parents, I'm talking about my grandparents. And this is no slight to my biological parents. My grandparents raised me. So when I normally say my mom and my dad, I'm talking about my grandfather and my grandmother, right? So when I was a kid, man, my grandmother, she used to always tell me that I have a presence about myself. And I'll be honest with y'all, I had no idea what she was talking about. She said, you just carry a certain presence that, people want to be around you and this and that. And I was like, in my head, I was like, I don't know if she watches. So, but you know what? No, I said, I'm gonna keep it 100. In my head, I'm like, Mom, what in the hell are you talking about? Like, what? But she used to always tell me that she would always drill that into me, that I had a presence that people wanted to be around you. When you talk, people listen. When you go here, people want to be around you. When you walk into a room, people know you're in the room. So I never understood that. As I got older, when I was in middle school, I wasn't as popular in middle school as I was in high school. So when I got to high school, I was very popular in high school. And when I got out of high school and, went on with my career and had multiple jobs, people would always hang around and talk to me. So when I got in the military, I remember one time when I came home, my mom told me again, she said, you have a presence about yourself when you're here. So you can never sneak up on me. I always know when you're here. And she told me before I went back to Fort Hood, she said, be careful of how you use that, because you could either use it to of a good way or a bad way when you are influencing people, because they look at what you say. So I ended up going back to Fort Hood, and the whole time I'm riding back, I'm remembering like, man, mom told me this all my life. Mom was telling me this all my life, but I really never paid attention to it. It's just always, just was something that she used to tell me. And so when I begin to like really walk in that calling that she told me, that's where it came from. It was that foundation back at home that my parents saw something in me that I was too foolish or too stupid to even see in myself. And I really didn't catch the dream until I was in my late 20s, So that's that foundation that I grew up in, being at home, coming from a church background. All I knew was church, school, and whatever else, church. That was it. Bible study, teachers meeting, whatever meeting, ushers meeting, the senior ushers meeting, that's all I knew. So that background and that foundation that I had, with the way my parents raised me, that's where that drive came from. And so when I actually began to walk in the calling of what my mom told me, then, like I said, the sky's the limit.
Man, that is powerful. That is powerful. So I'm looking at your name, the Professional SGL. Now I know there has to be a story behind that name because it's very specific. And then, you shared some things with us about that name that we're all very happy for and everything. But I think that people want to know, why that name? What's the significance behind it?
Well, so it came from a myriad of one thing, actually. No one is more professional than I.
Talk to him.
And so by me being an SGL, of course, I'm an SGL at the academy here at the great Fort Lee, the Logistics Non-Commissioned Officer Academy. Yeah. So by me being an SGL, I kept hearing every time I've been there, no one is more professional than I. And then the students, they come in and every day they got to say the creed in the morning. No one is more professional than I. No one is more professional than I. So this is no slight to none of my battle buddies, my SGL counterparts, but I just told myself I was going to strive to be the most professional SGL of how I deal with people, or how I talk to people, or how I engage people, or how when people come and engage me, I wanted to always remain professional. So that is how the Professional SGL came about. That's how it came about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have taken this to be your mission statement, like your ending catch line, that anytime someone has a problem with a regulation, with the standard, the problem is with the standard, not with you. There has to be a story behind that. Like, what made that stick? Like, was there an event or something that happened where that stuck, or was it one of your mentors? What was it that made that stick with you out of everything?
One of my mentors, currently retired now. Some of you all may know him. It was Command Sergeant Major Allen W. Braswell. At the time, he was the first sergeant. When I first heard this statement, and when I heard that statement, I was like, damn, that's true. Like, they issue ain't with me. Their issue is with the standard. And so when I heard that, that was just like profound to me. And I could probably count on one finger. I mean, not one finger. I could probably count on one hand about 3 statements that I've heard in my military career that has always stayed with me. I don't care if it ain't anything I won't forget. I will never forget those statements, and that was one of them. Their issue is not with you. Their issue is with the standard. And so when I just came up with, if you see something wrong and you fail to do something about it, then you have just created a new standard. And then their issue is never with you. Their issue is with the standard. So it's just words I live by. And it goes back to saying when I'm a professional, being the professional SGL, when I encounter somebody about coming to the academy wearing the wrong socks, I don't just encounter them with like, God dang, son, what the you got going on, son? For real? Hey, son, are you aware of the Army's regulation? It records with socks. Roger, son. Okay, well, tell me what it says, because I want to hear what they got to say. And then they begin to tell me what it is. And notice I'm just having a basic conversation with them. Well, you know, son, it said this, blah blah blah. Okay, all right. Well, son, look down at your socks and tell me what's different with what you just told me. You right, son. You right, son. So guess what, son? While you hit this academy, I need you to fix yourself, be the standard, because you never know when you're gonna turn. You never know when you're gonna take your socks off, or you never know when you're gonna take your shoes off. There's a way that you got to treat people, you know, and that's why I hold true being that professional SGL. And if they I've had some that have came back and tried to politic about the whole thing. Well, you know, if I had my shoes on, you know, you wouldn't have seen it. So really, and that goes back to your issue ain't with me. It's not with Staff Sergeant Hicks. Your issue is with the standard, and they've allowed this standard at your unit for so long that you feel that you can come here to our academy and bring that same standard here. Well, guess what, Sergeant? It's not going to happen. We go by the Army standard, not by what your unit do. You know, we have these Ranger guys. I've had a couple come in my class. Sergeant, hey, Sergeant, you come here with that beret like that? Guess what, Sergeant? You're going to go get you another one while you're here. And you're going to fix it and you're going to wear it the right way. So it's just about enforcing the standard and being the professional SGL when you do it.
So when we talk about standards, the thing that comes to mind is character. You know, character and your reputation. The character, like I feel that you've built a very strong character, and because you have a very strong character, you don't have to work on your reputation, because if you work on your character, you don't have to work on your reputation. So I want to talk right now about like what built that character, you know, not character as in a person, you know, on a TV set that's playing a role, but character being who you are. I heard you tell a story on the Ron and John show when y'all did y'all collaboration, and you talked about how you faced some adversities as far as someone telling you what you would never be able to do. Mm-hmm. I don't know if everybody fully heard that story, and I think it would be fitting at the point that we're in the interview right now if you told that story, you know, about what you went through and what was told to you and how you overcame it to become the professional SGL.
Okay. So I was stationed back at Fort Stewart, Georgia, and I was at Hunter Army Airfield first, and so there was a second lieutenant there. This individual is now captain, but there was a second lieutenant there that her and I didn't see eye to eye, and I just felt like that there was certain things that she wanted me to do that was more on a personal level. Not saying that anything personal that was like being in one-on-one, like trying to get to know each other on a personal level, but there was just something that I just wasn't going to be like. I didn't feel like I needed to go to lunch with my lieutenant every day or every other day, because in my opinion, I felt it gave the wrong perception. So it may have came off that I was a little rebellious to some of the things that she wanted to do in the beginning, but I just didn't see that would help our working relationship at that time. So of course I didn't want to do that. So as time progressed on, I saw that she was very hard to talk to. And I do believe that everybody has a breaking point. I don't care who you are, what echelon level you're at, from the tactical level all the way to the Department of Defense. Everybody has a breaking level. And if you do not know your breaking level, your breaking point, it could be detrimental to your career because some things in the Army can be, let's just say, it can be politicized. So I saw that this was going to be a bad working relationship. So I went to the first sergeant, and the first sergeant, you know, they got to be neutral. Say, hey, Top, look, this ain't working, man. Like, hey, something's got to be done. And so, in order for me to keep my sanity, keep my career, hey, I'm asking to be moved. Long story short, her and I had a falling out to a point where it just got bad, where she like cursed me out in front of, like, in the company, in front of my soldiers, you know. And so just let Staff Sergeant Hicks sit down for just 1 second and let D stand up. Where I'm from, if somebody curse you out, what they say, them's bees fighting words to me. So now let me let Sergeant Hicks sit back down and let me let D walk out, because D just had to say that. So she cursed me out in front of my soldiers, like some of my junior NCOs, my subordinates, and I kept my cool. And it was, and people may not think about it, but it was in that moment I knew I grew up as a non-commissioned officer. So I went back to the commanding first sergeant, like, hey, y'all got to move me, because if I stay here and this happened again, it may not go like it went today. So long story short, man, they ended up, telling me I was going to move. I went on leave. They extended my leave while I was on leave. I didn't know what was going on. And when I came back, they told me I had 7 days to clear my hand receipt, and I was going to be moving to 274. So before I left, that leader told me I will never again influence or make an impact on anybody at my level. That is what she told me. And Master on Green, and to everybody listening, and to try not to even get emotional, that hurt me when she said that, because it was a slap on the character of what my parents raised. Not just me as a professional, but how my parents raised me. And that, for lack of words, it pissed me off. So I said, you know what? I said this in my head. I didn't say this to her. I said, you know what? I'm going to show you that I will still make an impact no matter where I go, because my mama always told me that I had a presence about me. So I don't care what you told me, you're going to see it for yourself. Ended up moving, going to Fort Stewart, went there. Then I took over being the detachment sergeant there. Things was going good. Me and my commander got along great. The unit was all the way. It was spectacular. Next thing you know, I get hit with the call saying, hey, I need you to come to the office. This is the Rear D Sergeant Major. And I'm like, me and my commander go over there. And he's like, hey, when you going to sign your NCOER? I'm like, what NCOER? He's like, yeah, you got to change your rater. I'm like, that I didn't even have time to get a change of rater from when my last through date was, because I was on leave for 45 days. So there was no way I could have got. He's like, so you, Sergeant Major, like, you never seen this NCOER? No, Sergeant Major. Sergeant Major reached in his desk, sat at NCOER in front of me and my commander, 4-4 NCOER with a no in the respect block. And everybody know the old NCOER back then, that's a career killer. That you got anything in one of those Army values, you got to know that's a career killer. So I'm like going up. I'm like, no, Sergeant Major, this is BS and blah, 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 blah. Once again, everybody have a breaking point. Sergeant Hicks at that time, I had it, because I felt like they were coming for my career. You already slapped me in the face about my character, about the way my parents raised me, about telling me I'll never influence and this and that, I'll never amount to anything. And now you're coming at me about my character. And Sergeant Major calmed me down. My commander back then, Captain Howell, is now Major Howell, calmed me down and said, hey, if you give them reason to validate this NCOER, you're gonna lose. Here's where I was being tested. I was being put through the fire. And I'm not gonna get spiritual on anybody, but here's where I'm just gonna say it, where my God tested me, because that was another level of growth that I hadn't reached yet. So here's where that level of growth came. I had to see these individuals at command and staff, because they would come up from Hunter, come to the battalion. Whenever I see them, I had to salute, give the proper greeting of the day, the whole nine. And it ate me up on the inside, but it wasn't about me because I couldn't let them validate what they put on that NCOER. Ended up telling them I didn't want to sign the NCOER. They said, we just going to send it up. I never said I wasn't going to sign it because the Sergeant Major said, hey, we're going to talk about this NCOER. The commander, my senior rater back then, did some underhanded stuff, sent it to the S1, said refuse to sign. Popped up on my iPerms. I saw it. I called the S1. Said, hey, how did this happen? He said, well, the commander said you refused to sign it. He sent to me an email. Send me that email. He sent it to me. I took it to the Sergeant Major. There was going to be this whole big blowout. We were going to go down there and talk. Next thing you know, I got hit with a QMP. All of this is happening. Master Sergeant Green, all of this, I want everybody to hear this. All of this is happening in rapid form. I'm like, you slap me in the face about my character. I move. You store NCOER on me. I got to salute you, give you the greeting of the day, and I get hit with a QMP all in 1 year. I was like, oh my goodness. So you know what? I kept grinding. I kept going after because I was not going to let these individuals take my career down. And I called on people that I knew who knew Sergeant Hicks. Hey, would you be willing to write this for me? Would you be willing to write this for me? All the way from my G4 Sergeant Major, my brigade Sergeant Major, when they came back, my brigade Sergeant Major, my battalion commander, my battalion command Sergeant Major, when they got back, they wrote a letter. And then my commander, my detachment sergeant, a 3-star general, all wrote on my behalf. And it goes back to saying that when I was talking about being that professional, your character speaks for you. Your character speaks for you. So sometimes you got to be humble enough to keep this closed and let this do the work for you. Because you can still do the work with this, and this don't have to say anything. So that lesson I learned, and before you know it, I beat the QMP with flying colors. And I knew about, being looked at for QMP. It was probably hard for you to get a broadening assignment. Look at me now. That's what I want. I want people to understand. Look at me now. I am at the academy, the biggest academy in the Army, the Logistic Non-Commissioned Officer Academy, as an SGL. And all of that, I went through all of that. So once again, don't let nobody stop you and tell you what you can't do. Because at the end of the day, if you measure your success using their ruler, you'll probably never make it, because what worked for them doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for you. And I will never forget when this lieutenant, or now a captain, came to the course at the schoolhouse for the captain's career course and saw me at the academy and saw that I was an SGL. The look on her face, I will never forget it. Yep.
Hey, I tell you, I think you definitely just proved a point that I like to always tell people, is that we can show somebody what discipline looks like, but you can't sit somebody down in the classroom and teach them discipline.
Mm-hmm.
We show you what it looks like, and the Army gives you lots of opportunities to practice it. Mm-hmm. And the story that you just told, you got lots of opportunities to practice it. Like, that is so amazing. That is so amazing. I'm so glad that everything worked out in your favor. Mm-hmm. Because sometimes it don't, but everything happens for a purpose, and now you're here with NCOPD Live. And I think that's a good segue into our next topic that we're going to talk about. So, we talked about infinite and finite. Mm-hmm. And I believe NCOPD Live is going to be one of those infinite things. Like, it will, it's going to out survive a lot of things and a lot of people. So with that being said, like, what are some of the things that you would hope that NCO Live will do and provide for past, present, and up and coming soldiers in the military?
So a couple of things. First and foremost, a voice to be heard. I gotta keep it real with the followers out there that know me. We all know that there's some things that goes on in some units that a blind eye get turned to. And I don't want to go too much into something because I'm going to talk about this on Wednesday with my special guest, Sergeant First Class Jackson. But I just want to touch on it for a second. There's some things that happen in units that a blind eye get turned to. Like if I would have never said anything about what was going on, who knows where my career would have turned up or what it would have been like. But you have to be able and be willing to have that voice to stand up and say something. It's far time we stop sitting by idly and just allowing things to happen in status quo. Or that's the way I posted something like this the other day. That's just the way we do it at our unit. Well, just because that's the way you do it doesn't mean that that's the right way. But I think we need more NCOs to stand up and say something. Quit being quiet and just allowing things to happen as though that's just normality. We have the power to change our surroundings. Like as non-commissioned officers, we have that voice. And that's what I want NCOPD Live to be. And like I say, it doesn't, I don't want people to come on there and be like, yeah, you know, my unit is blah, 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 blah. There's a way to have a dialogue about an incident that's going on in the unit without bashing the unit, but bringing some light to the forum about what's going on. So that's what I want NCOPD Live to be. I want it to be a place where people can come and feel that they have a voice, whether it's through the professional SGL or it's not a vent session. But I want people to be able to come to this platform and say, I have an issue going on with this situation. Professional SGL or Staff Sergeant Hicks, can you help me out? Can you? And you know what? I'll bring it to the forum. And if I don't have the answer, I know with over the 74, 7,500 something followers and over the 55 or 56, I don't even know, people that like this page, somebody's going to have that answer that's going to help that individual out, which leads me back to this. At the end of the day, NCOPD Live, the one thing I want people to understand about it is not about Staff Sergeant Hicks. I'm just the face that y'all see every Wednesday or any other time where I have a special edition or whatever. But it's not about me. And that's one of the things I like about NCOPD Live. It's not about me. It's to help that generation that's coming up and coming behind us, because guess what? They are the leaders of tomorrow. Literally, they are. And at the end of the day, it's not about me. It's about those individuals. So that's one thing. That's the one thing that I want people to understand about NCOPD Live. You got a voice. There's a platform that if you have an issue that's going on, hey, we can raise this topic. We can have professional, tactful, open dialogue about it. Now, understand this. There's gonna always be some people out there, as I think he need to patent this. So I'm ready to Troxel. You're gonna always have those professional jellocks. Man, when he said that, I mean, but you're always gonna have people that's gonna be jealous of something that you do. If y'all think that NCOPD Live, I wish my team would like to be put out there and know who they are, but they don't. But they want to work behind the scenes, and my advisors are anonymous. They don't even know each other. My team know each other, but my team don't even know who the advisors are. That's how I'll talk to you all a little bit about that when we go in depth about NCOPD Live. But I got a group of people that work behind the scenes that just want to do the right thing to help people. So it's not about us. It's about a legacy and a platform that we can leave for others to come on and say, hey, I'm having this issue. You know, this is what's going on. Can you help me? You know what? I may not be able to help you, but you know what I'll do? I'll talk to the team. I'll talk to the advisors. We'll bring your question up in the next live forum. Or I know some people out there a Sergeant Major Breckenridge or a Sergeant Major I promoted you, Jack. Sergeant Major Sergeant Jackson or Sergeant Major Smalls or Sergeant Major Ellis or Sergeant Major Halliburton. I know people that I guarantee you, if they don't know it, they can point you somewhere else. That's what I want NCOPD Live to be.
Man, that you just said a mouthful there, but I want to dive into it a little bit deeper. So when we talking about, units having issues, and I don't want to get too deep into it because I know you said that y'all are going to go into it, but how much of it do you believe, because we're talking about empowering people and the power that non-commissioned officers have, like how much of that do you believe goes on with the empowerment piece of actually knowing what you're talking about as far as research is on? Because if you don't know what you can and can't do, then how effective will you be?
So remember I said earlier about we talked about knowing. So knowing is half the battle. I believe that. And be honest with you, I think it's more than half the battle. A lot of times we go on things based off of what we heard. And we may say, well, I know the professional SGL will never tell me something over NCOPD Live that will probably be wrong. Yeah, you're probably right. But sometimes seeing is believing. And I'm that type of person. Shout out to my battle buddy, Staff Sergeant Cherry. I was a reader prior to even getting here to the academy. But this individual challenged me even more to read because he would tell me stuff about stuff that's happening with the POI and this and that and with our CMF. And I'd be like, what? And he'd be like, look, here, this is where you need to go and read it. And I would go and read it and see it for myself. So it was like a validation. Now, do I trust Staff Sergeant Cherry to tell me something and it's legit? Of course. He's one of those confident battle buddies that I know that if he tell me something, especially if it's about ACFT, if he was telling me something about ACFT, would I take it and run with it? You daggum right, I would. But it's something about being able to read it and see it. So when you talk about as far as being able to know some things, you can't go in talking about something that you don't know. It's just something that you heard. My mom used to tell me this, and I guess this is how y'all gonna see how country I am. My mom used to tell me, bought sense is better than borrowed. Ooh. That's what I grew up on sayings like that. Bought sense is better than borrowed sense. So, so if you go into a topic or you go into a discussion, and I think this is why NCOs, we fall short when we're sitting at the table because we don't talk what we know. And then when we hear something from somebody else, from another unit or something that they told us, and they could be at a higher echelon than where we are. And then we start talking about things that's out of our, here go again, out of our scope of influence. Out of our scope of influence, we start talking about things that we don't even know the basis or the logistics of what it really is. I'll take it even a step further. So with the whole thing about that's going on within in the leadership, feel that they're not speaking out about things. So I've come to grips to this. I understand. I've been in the Army more than a day. And I understand that at certain levels of influence, let's be honest, politics plays part of it. I understand that. But not at my level. I can still hold a platform to speak about these things that are going on in people's heads and kind of give a sense of pause to the formations and our ranks to say, hey, we can still have this conversation. Once again, we don't have to wait on appointed authority. We can have this conversation and our voices can be heard without us going off on the deep edge. So just to let everybody know, I'm still working on that too. But that was just an example of how you can still have that voice. But some things you just need to know, like, hey, okay, I know, I got it. I understand where you are. I got it. However, over in this area that I can influence, this is what I'm going to do. And this is how I'm going to drive it. And this is the way ahead of what I hope to accomplish that the message is seen or heard, that it would get the leadership to understand, hey, okay, enough is enough. We might need to do something about this. That is my intent.
Okay. I don't know. I think I read somewhere where there was something that said something about taking the appropriate actions in the absence of orders.
Mm-hmm. It was in something. I think it was something called like something about the creed that the NCOs read.
Some creed, yeah, the NCOs. And
yeah.
Now you bring up a good point about having conversations and things and doing things. And like I said today, I wanted to highlight. Hopefully, I did a good job at painting a picture. But the main thing that I wanted to highlight is that that's what you do. You take that part to heart about taking the appropriate actions, going in the absence of orders, and not having appointed authority, but still taking action. And I think you do that really well. It's very evident. Like, we got 6 years of recorded proof. So, hey, you knocked all my questions out. I guess I fell short tonight because I'm out of questions.
No, so that's cool because it gives me actually opportunity to give people a behind the scenes about NCOPD Live. But to go back to one of your questions, one of the things I want to say about taking that appropriate actions in the absence of orders. So everything you do as a leader, notice I didn't put no rank with it.
Mm-hmm.
Everything you do as a leader is a risk in some way. We call it calculated risk. So everything I did as a non-commissioned officer, as far as being with my soldiers, I took some sort of risk. It's a risk just waking up and getting out of the bed in the morning. You're taking a risk. Walking down my stairs, in my apartment is a risk. Everything you do as a leader is a risk. What I will say to this is you can't make progress if you steady sit on the bench. You can't groom leaders if you don't assume some risk. Because you got some leaders that won't assume no risk and no responsibility. My question is when are you going to get up off the bench and take a risk? That's what I did. I took a risk with NCOPD Live. And I share this story before we end. And it's good because the questions you asked were spot on. But now I want to show like a picture of NCOPD Live, like behind the scenes. So I wonder sometimes what people think. So I think people think that NCOPD Live just goes live and that we just that's not what we do at NCOPD Live. So when I have a specific topic, and like this goes back to saying that I have now I have 4 out of 5 advisors, but I have spoken to a potential 5th advisor. I'm not going to say this individual's name, but it is down to 2 people that I've watched, and I think both would make a great advisor to the platform. But it goes to say this: the people that I have around me in my close-knit circle with NCOPD Live, it's people that I have that I know that when I talk about my team. So let me talk about the team first. I have people that monitors this page, that handles this page. Then I have a person that handles the Instagram page. Then I have a person that handles the Twitter page and the YouTube page. And they all have access to the NCOPD Live page. You don't give the keys to your house to people that you don't trust. Or you don't give the keys to your house to people that wouldn't treat your stuff like you would treat it. Because I don't like people to treat my stuff how they would treat theirs, because they probably don't treat their stuff the way I treat mine. My team, maybe I need to say it again. I just see Freestyle say it again. I will not give the keys to my house to somebody that wouldn't treat my house and treat my stuff how I treat it. Not how they treat their own, but if I give you the keys to my stuff, I want you to treat it how I would treat it. Because NCOPD Live, that's my baby. I tell a lot of people, I don't want NCOPD Live or hashtag TPSGL associated with anything that's not going to bring benefit to the platform. So if it's just some, a lot of people send me these requests to join these pages. I need to look to see what this is first. I got to see what it is. So NCOPD Live, it goes beyond just Staff Sergeant Hicks. It is a whole working machine when you think about NCOPD Live. So those team members that I have, those admin teams, when you see them posting a certain group and they say very respectfully NCOPD Live admin, that's not the professional SGL. You'll know when it's me because I will always sign with hashtag TPSGL if I'm using the NCOPD Live platform. That's how you know the difference. So whenever you see very respectfully NCOPD Live admin, that is not Sergeant Hicks. Whenever you see NCOPD Live and I share something and I put hashtag TPSGL, that is me. My team automatically know. Don't sign my name to something that you share to another page. There's a working cohesive, and this is where I want to get at. There's a working cohesive teamwork here. And even though, watch this, even though my team members doesn't know who the advisors are, they trust the advisors just as if they knew who they were. Why is that? Because they know Staff Sergeant Hicks, the professional SGL, is not going to have anybody around this platform that is not going to give him sound counsel, great advice in regards to making this platform better. Watch this. Not for him, not for the team, not for the advisors, but the betterment of the force and the leaders that follow this platform. And I'm not just saying that to like put the icing on the cake. I am dead serious when it comes to NCOPD Live. I need y'all to understand that. I am dead serious when it comes to NCOPD Live. I don't do this to look for no accolades. I don't do this to look for praise. I do this specifically, like I said in the beginning, that I want to leave a legacy that in case if my children or my grandchild, y'all see my baby, she look all good, or my grandchild decides to join the Army, that I left a legacy that was impressive on somebody to say, hey, your last name is Hicks. Did you by chance happen to know Staff Sergeant D. Hicks? Yeah, that's my dad, or that was my grandfather. You know what? Your dad took care of me. So guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna take care of you. And like they said, the great Sergeant Major Clark and that whole G1 team, I heard them always say, pay it forward. Man, listen, pay it forward. Because guess what? Sooner or later, I'm going to have to take off of this uniform for good. I'm going to have to take off this uniform and I'm going to step back into the civilian sector. And if my kids join the Army, I want to make sure that all the people that knew me, all the people that followed me, whether you're a transporter or you're an MI or whether you were a field artillery guy or gal or whatever your MOS is. Hey, you know what? Your dad had this thing called NCOPD Live. You know what? Your dad was good. I'm going to take care of you. Don't worry about it. I'm going to take care of you. So that's the whole story behind NCOPD Live, man.
Wow. So you were talking about risk, and I got some about risk that I think would add value to the conversation that we're having.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't remember who it was, but they talked about risk and they explained risk as if you were driving a car. They said, look, what makes something risky or what makes something dangerous when you can't control it? So they said if you were to take a car, it's like somebody were to give you a car or they were building you a car and they just put, 4 wheels, gas pedal, and a seat. You'd be like, hey, I'm not driving that. I can't stir it. I can't stop it. Only thing I can do is make it go faster. So he comes back and he says, hey, you know what? I'm going to make it a little bit better for you. What if I added, a blinker so you can turn left and right? You're like, nah. Yeah, I can tell people I'm turning, but that still ain't no good. He says, okay, Now I'm going to add a seatbelt. You say, yeah, that's cool. You know, I got a seatbelt now, so I'm not going to fly out the windshield, but I still can't stop. We say, okay. Now I'm going to add brakes. So now you got brakes, you got a blinker, you got a seatbelt, you got a gas pedal, you got all of these things, these safety features in there that reduces the risk. It's still risky to drive because there's other people on the road and there's human error, but now you have control over it. And that is how risk, that's the best way that I've heard risk explained. And like you were talking about, leaders have to take risk. We have to. It's just you have to take risk, but there are things you can do to mitigate that risk or reduce it. You can never make it completely go away, but you can mitigate it.
Yeah. I mean, nobody intends to go overseas and have a child die and they have to go back and tell their parents or their family that, you know, Junior or whoever is no longer here. But there's a risk that comes with everything we do as leaders. And you have to be willing to assume some type of risk and responsibility. And we keeping it cliche in order to achieve the mission. There's risk. You think those commanders don't look? That's why they ask for so many cores, because they want to mitigate the risk at the lowest level. But they are already assuming nobody expects to go to a range and somebody get hurt. Why do you think we do risk assessments? Because when you're walking up the stairs to the range, or if you're walking, or if your range has gravel and you're walking, you could twist your ankle. It's risk. So you have to be able to assume and accept some kind of risk in everything that you do as a leader. And the risk I took with this is, hey, there's probably going to be a chance that it's going to be a bust, that they're not going to listen to it. But guess what? I'm going to assume that risk. I'm going to take it and I'm going to run with it. And here it is, years later, that, you know, it has grown to what you see today. Now, is everybody still watching NCOPD Live? No. But there may be other forms that they're watching. To name a few, Break Time Broadcast or Freestyle Every Day. These are like three of the platforms right now. And then there's the fourth one, the I can't think of it. It's the one with the
Feel Great Leader.
The who?
The Feel Great Leader.
The Feel Great Leader. Like those four platforms right now are it's the talk of social media. And you know what's a shame before we leave for the evening? It's a shame that there are some people, no matter what the content is on either one of these platforms, it is a sad indictment that some people still will fail to watch and get professional development from one of these four platforms. But one thing I can say is that you can't say that the plate wasn't fixed before you. You just got up from the table and you just chose not to eat. Because between these four platforms, Break Time Broadcast, Freestyle Every Day, The Feel Great Leader, and NCOPD Live, and now the up and coming The Ron and John Show, so 5, between these 5 platforms, professional development is out there. But the sad thing about it is that some people still won't come to the table and eat. But will be some of the biggest complainers are gelats in the unit about what's going on in the unit. But they're not trying to figure out how to get some tips on how to make that unit better. And it's a sad indictment on the non-commissioned officer corps and our commissioned officer corps as well, because you got some commissioned officers that will not go and check out the Field Grade Leader. I'm like, but between these 5 platforms, a plethora of knowledge that's going out, but some people just will not go and seek it out, man. And it's a sad indictment. But I know the other platforms will probably speak on me and agree with me on this, but I'm gonna speak for NCOPD Live since I'm the current host. NCOPD Live is not gonna stop. When I PCS, I will still remain the professional SGL. I will still be it. But Break Time Broadcast, Freestyle Every Day for Everybody. I call it hashtag Fifi. I don't know if y'all gonna take that and run with it, but I like it. Hashtag free.
Hey, it's cool.
I like it. Hashtag Fifi. I do. I like it. Matter of fact, there it is right there. dominating the game.
Yeah.
You got too many platforms to not be able to better yourself as a leader. So quit talking to me about, well, my unit. What are you doing to fix it? Are you stepping out and saying something about it, or are you getting on these platforms, getting this information and taking it back and challenging your leaders in a tactful way? Well, hey, first on, why don't we do? I was looking at Break Time broadcast. They did something for their Audie Murphy members. Why don't we do that? There's nothing wrong with asking the question. Why don't we do NCO induction ceremonies? I saw they did like 4 at the academy. Why don't we have NCO PD? Like, they always having leaders come on freestyle every day. They're giving plethora of, like, hey LT, if you got some issues going on, they got a page out there called the Field Grade Leader. It got the officer side of the house. Oh, and by the way, you got the SEAC retired. The SEAC retired? How many people get a chance to say that they ever talked to the SEAC? But now you got an opportunity to engage in dialogue with this individual, all of these individuals, and you miss. I'm gonna say this: we at an hour because I didn't think it was gonna run as long. When opportunity presents itself, seize the moment. Seize the moment, because you never know when you'll ever get that opportunity again to talk to certain senior levels at certain echelons, or even I'll even take like this for instance. And I don't want to. Well, I do want to highlight Wednesday. Song First Class Jackson, that's coming on Wednesday. Listen, you want to talk about a motivated individual, because I know one of the questions that the team posted that we're going to talk about is, how do I keep on going when I got haters coming after my character? Like, how do I look, Sarn? How you gonna tell me I got to keep doing this when I got haters steady coming after my character in my unit? Who better to answer that question than that individual right there? I know he know it comes from a certain place. Jack is gonna kill it on Wednesday. But you know what? Watch this again. There's gonna be certain people that's not gonna watch it. And they're gonna miss out on what Soren Jackson got to say. Because I mean, we're gonna talk about it. But all of these platforms that's out there, hey man, they're here. Choice is yours whether you want to sit down and you want to eat from the table that's being set before you. That's all I got to say.
Well, okay. Once again, before we wrap it up, I wanted to say thank you to the NCOPD Live team and the professional SGL hashtag. Thank y'all for providing this platform for so long, and just being a voice for people who feel like they haven't been heard, putting that knowledge out there, and just being great, because it's selfless service. Like the equipment and stuff that you have, you pay for all that stuff out of your pocket. Nobody gave you money to do that. Your team, they volunteer their time. So from the viewers, like they say, long time watcher, first time caller, we just want to say thank you. We appreciate what y'all do. Keep up the great work. And if you don't have anything further, I guess it's time for us to go ahead and close it down. So everybody, thank you for joining us here. You got something?
Man, hold on because a lot of people have been asking me this. So tomorrow I have a teleconference with the two companies about the shirts. So I'm leaning toward one of those particular companies, and I know that they watch this page, which is one of the reasons why they really wanted to get our business, because they see that the potential of buyers that will come and support this, support our page and support their business. So I have a teleconference with these two great companies tomorrow. We will have a decision made. I'm not going to say about tomorrow night because I want to sit down and want to talk with my advisors, and I want to talk to my team. So Wednesday, I will let you all know who we're going to go with and then we'll start getting the link and everything connected to the page. And you can go on to the link. You don't have to come to NCOPD Live and access to, you know, buy your shirt. You just go click on that link. It'll be to where you can probably even design it your own self. But NCOPD Live and or TPSGL, whichever one you will, it'll be the basis of the shirt. But it may be something if you want to get it, you know, engraved on the long sleeve or the short sleeve or a mug or a tote bag or a cap. It's whatever you want to get it done. And we'll make that announcement on Wednesday, which company that we're gonna go with. So I know a lot of people still been asking about that. So that's all I got, man.
All right. There it is. Y'all had it from the one and only professional SGL. We're gonna go ahead and wrap it up here. And as I like to always say, thank y'all for joining us here. But life is a choice in which we take advantage of opportunities. And we'll be talking to you later. Signing off.